Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Business and Financial Raw Talk, a no-holds-barred forum for leaders and innovators. I am LaWanna Bradford, principal of the Bradford Group and CEO of the Bradford Group Consulting, and I am so excited because we have back on our stage the dynamic Miss Debra L. Morrison. Debra, how's it going?
LaWanna, great. So happy to be with you.
This is going to be great. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, what Business and Financial Raw Talk is all about is just a conversation of innovative minds talking about financial business solutions, tips to help you level up your game in business and in life. And today we're going to be talking about change your money story, change your life. So we're going to just jump right into it. Is that okay, Debra?
Let's do it.
Well, you know, Debra, we hear a lot about your mindset and how important your mindset is to attract and create the life that you want. But if everyone seems to know this, and I know that you're working a lot with, and I'm going to introduce you in a moment to our audience, you're working a lot with women and helping them to navigate their finances. Why do you find that to be such a sticking point? We know that our mindset is the driving factor, but yet we seem to be missing that piece.
Well, it is a great question, and everyone has a little bit of a different experience. And of course, that complicates things in terms of having some type of panacea recommendation to catapult these barriers, right? And yet, I believe as storytellers, women are interested in story. And as perverse as it sounds, like, even a bad story that's impressive enough or shocking enough can get us attention. And this, again, I don't want to be completely off-putting and say, hello, everybody's interested in their own ego. And yet I think that if we haven't been introduced to be encouraged to rewire those neural pathways in our mind, especially about our negative money stories, then it's kind of a default, a fallback position that's very easy just to go into. It's just like, okay, I know that story. I really messed up then. And boy, I just haven't been able to get on the right track ever since. And so I think that there's a certain amount of default position that we have to recognize. First of all, bring it to the conscious, right, LaWanna? As we bring it to the conscious mind, we can then grapple with it and unwind it and take it apart for what it is, which is as soon as you start to pull like one thread, it pretty much crumbles very swiftly because there's no substance, there's no reason rationally for us to repeat the same negative stories again and again. And we're going to talk tonight about how we can kind of cut through that automatic default position that so many women have found themselves in. And that, of course, depresses all other areas of their life. And that's exactly, it's not about money, worshiping money, for heaven's sakes. It is about getting our minds to coordinate with our heart and our emotions. And it's a big fluid channel. And I want to open up the blocks to that channel that negative historic stories tend to cause.
I love that. And I want to tell the audience a little bit about who you are in case for some reason they don't know Debra Morrison. Well, Debra Morrison is a certified financial planner. She is retired and has translated now all of her skills, knowledge, and wisdom into being a financial coach. And she is the founder and CEO of Women Navigating Finance, which is an organization, a company, but yet I classify it as a movement to help women get over their fears or blocks in order to achieve the financial security that they want. In addition, she's a speaker, she's an author, she's a teacher, she's an influencer. I am just so blessed to be able to call her friend and colleague. And so, Debra, I want to let's dig in a little bit deeper, because you mentioned perpetuating those negative stories, and our thoughts are more powerful, I think, than we give them credit, right? Whether we are attracting the good things in our lives or attracting the bad. So Take it away.
Exactly. Well, all we have to look at is the network news. I mean, news today is, something more horrific and graphic than, the last story. And for that very reason, I don't watch television. I don't watch the news. I read the news so that I can get the capsule and then move on, because I do not need to cement negative into my psyche, or neural pathways, very, very literally. Like, if we were really wanting to dissect this, and I do, let's talk about Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, shall we? Neuroanatomist, right? Had a stroke, I think at age 40, a very young age, and lived through it, and has rehabilitated herself, and has a fantastic TEDx talk. And now she has a brand new book out, which is amazing. And what she has developed is this 90-second rule. You want to know what the 90-second rule is? The 90-second rule is, all we need to do is watch and observe what's happening. Generally, it's going to be a stressful something or other, right? Then feel that emotion. And as we're watching something come at us and we're feeling that emotion, a bunch of chemicals start to put our psyche, if you will, on high alert. That's just what happens physiologically, right? And from the first instant that we notice something until that time that we can actually watch it go away, 90 seconds, the chemicals come into our body, put us on high alert. And so long as we watch what's happening, feel that emotion fully, and then watch it go away without reacting, the chemicals are out of our blood. Our blood is pure within 90 seconds.
Wow.
Everybody has 90 seconds. And so what we want to do is invite that kind of health, that kind of healthy response to horrible impetus, that kind of shocking news, if you will, be it your own illness, the illness of a friend or partner, and be able to receive it, feel it, and watch it go away, and then realize we have the power to put into motion various reactions, which will include strategies for our recovery. The reason doctors take the Hippocratic Oath is to heal people. And the reason we have hospitals and doctors and nurses and EMTs is to bring people from a state of less than full and great health to a better state of health. And why wouldn't we do that with our minds and with our money as well? Why wouldn't we, each of us, take this kind of Hippocratic Oath, if you will, on our money and say, okay, if we made a mistake before, and I have made plenty of them as a professional, and yet I cannot stay in that land of mistake, because there's so much broader of a future for me to envision, for me to grasp, for me to strategy into, because the rewards are so rich. Once I have a victory, that negative goes completely behind me. I have no use for that anymore. And moreover, once I am personally grounded and can approach life and finances, in my case, with a positive attitude, with a winning attitude, I then exude that kind of confidence to my family, my friends, and my coworkers. And that is the kind of energy I want us to promulgate instead of getting stuck in the negative story.
I love what you're saying, and I want to be just devil's advocate for a minute. So we know that the pandemic has hit women harder, and anyone that's listening may say, okay, I hear you, I understand, let me pause for 90 seconds, let me feel the emotions, then release. But then, Debra, you don't understand, I have to turn around and figure out, how am I going to feed these children? Mm-hmm. So, and I know you have techniques and tools that people can use to work through this. Can you give an example of how you would talk someone through understanding the reality does exist? There may be a current money crisis in your household. Mm-hmm. But when we shift our mind and open up to the possibilities, I believe, then we can see those stepping stones to get out of what is currently entrapped us.
Right. Well, let's tackle that. If in fact we can admit to, I've been here before. I've been in this like victim, if you will, story place before, and it's horrible. And I lost my job, and I don't know what in the heck I'm going to do next. And I want to invite us to realize that neuro-linguistic programming taught me this: when emotions are high, intellect is low, and vice versa. So when we're emoting, and there's plenty of emoting, there has been plenty of grief in this pandemic and in life in general, always. And yet, I want us to emote and very literally set a timer, half hour. If you're not done in a half hour, set it for another 15 minutes. But when the second timer goes off, you say, okay, I've cried, I've whatever, I've wailed, I've beat the cushion with the tennis racket, I've released that emotion, and now I'm going to think. And never the two shall meet well, they do meet, but it always is muddled. Either we can't fully emote because we're trying to think our way out of it, or we can't think because we're emoting. And so just as simple as that, let's just have a season for emoting and have a season for thinking. And if we're facing a new situation that perhaps we don't even have a clue as to how to extricate ourselves, then we seek the advice of a professional, someone that can help us traverse this unknown territory. If we find ourselves in a rinse and repeat, now we're in more debt, we're in debt, we've been in debt before. Well, then we need to address what is the secondary gain we're getting about being in debt or continuing to perpetrate that type of action. And I'm not attempting to say that life is easy, and for people that don't have a living wage and are struggling to make it, that this is something that I find that I'm mocking. I'm not. And yet, especially if you're feeling defeated monetarily, I want you to think about a different thought and share those feelings and your practical situation, that intellect part, with a certified financial planner, for example, even a trusted friend. I don't want us to do things that we have not had success in doing before alone, because we'll probably have the same result. So once we seek out a person to help us, just like an athlete seeks out a coach to come to the next level, if we're sinking instead of swimming, we need to keep our nose and our mouth above the water level. And repeating the story again and again tends to cement the victim-like, and victims really don't have strategies because they've kind of put on the mantra and the mantle of victim. And I do not mean to be judgmental by the victim. And I know that's like a Ripley's Believe It or Not to hear that. And yet we're either creators or reactors, right? And if you write those letters out as the same letters, CREATOR and REACTOR, the reactor's like, oh, here we are again. I'm broke. I don't know I'm running out of money. And then the creator, see, all we do is change the order of the same letters, and we can become creators. And if you're beaten down to the extent that you don't have the imagination or the drive, that's when you seek help. And there are plenty of professionals, myself included, that give free money advice away. And I do not want a person that's in need, that is in a hole psychologically, can't even think about a different result, but please know that there is a way out, because there is.
Debra, that have platforms set up to provide you with free advice, guidance. And I love what you said about repackaging, reframing, reactor, creator. Choose which side you want to be on. And how empowering is it to say, I am a creator. Despite the ash and trash that may have hit me, because life does happen, I can rise, I can be that phoenix, and I can shift my mindset, reprogram myself, change my money story, partner with individuals like a Debra Morrison to help me to navigate the waters to build the financial lifestyle and security that I want. Right.
And I think, LaWanna, there's definitely a place to have the story told, to speak our story. And like Dr. Ted Klontz, I was interviewing him, and he says, Debra, do you know what people need today? And he was wagging his finger, and I thought, and I'm racing through my head like, and he said, people need a good listening to. Wow. If you feel, women that are looking at this, if you feel that you have not been heard, then I want you to seek out a different person, and I want you to tell your story to that different person. I also suggest you writing down your story on a piece of paper for you to reflect upon, because you're going to look back at that in 2 weeks and in 2 months, and you're going to say, wow, look where I came from, right? I think journaling is really important. And I want you to seek out at least one person, be it a trusted friend or a professional, be it a psychotherapist or a financial professional such as ourselves. And I want you to tell that story from A to Z. And once you feel heard, there's a certain sense of validation that's just like, okay, they get it. They heard me. They heard me, right? Like let's remember that Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen with Chicken Soup for the Soul series got rejected 144 times. Jack Campbell.
A lot of no's.
Yeah. He said, "Oh my gosh, if we'd have stopped after 100, look what the world," and we would have lost. Obviously, J.K. Rowling, right? 12 publishers said, "Harry Potter? You serious?" How about Oprah Winfrey? We wouldn't even know about Oprah Winfrey if she stopped when she was completely abused and ran into so much systemic injustice and personal abuse and so forth. We wouldn't even have known who she was, let alone experienced the gifts that she always had inside. She told her story to people that listened, and she got outside help and a great deal of resolve. See, a commitment not to stay in the same story for, maybe one more day, depending on how long you've been in that story.
And you just used a powerful word there. You said she committed to not. And we can have, and I know we hear set your intention, but I can intend to do a lot of things. But if I commit to do it, it takes that mental, emotional alignment to another level.
Absolutely. And I have a whole series that I'm going to bring out called Money Vows, right? What is our vow with money, right?
I like that.
When a person takes a marriage vow, there are certain commitment statements that are uttered, and yet they have a great import. And I would like us to write down on a piece of paper our money vows to ourselves. I will be as smart as a squirrel. I will not eat every nut that I see. I will save some for the future. I will be in control of how much I'm spending. I will find ways to make money so that I can rectify that debt indebtedness. I will find ways. And when we will something to happen, by George, Bye, Jane. It happens. I'm not saying it's easy. I am saying it's our responsibility. And I will go so far as to say it's not even your responsibility just to yourself, because every single one of us are touching the lives of a lot of people around us, whether we understand that or not. And no better examples than these stories of these little kids watching these adults, for example. And the adult does something that's very impressive and the kid is changed. And like decades later, they came back and they tell the story, right? And nobody knew they were watching. I'll tell you what, a lot of people are watching, your friends, your family, and most of all you. And when you lay your head on the pillow each night and you say, I willed to change this pattern. And in order to change a pattern and for it to stick, you've got to do it 28 days in a row. So this is not for the faint of heart, yet it is for the people who are sick and tired of being in the same place or being in a rut or having a hopeless feeling. If you are sick and tired of being hopeless, let's take the less off of it and engender the hope. And you may not be able to do it yourself. You probably are ill-advised to do it yourself, but I want you to emote yourself. I want you to do that emoting. And then I want you to partner with someone, call someone and make an appointment to partner with them for a season and get the steps and the tools, because guess what? Success begets success. And you take one step and all of a sudden you feel a little bit better about yourself. And then you take another step and it works and it works. And you're saying, it works. And I'm like, yeah, it works. Do it. Rinse and repeat that. And pretty soon all of that will become a story that you will write about another day. Right now, we're on the success path. And it's time. It's time for us, particularly women, to be on that success path because our longevity is continuing to increase. And we also want to ensure that we have a lifetime income that's going to keep pace with inflation. And wouldn't it be lovely to enhance our net worth so that we can write checks to our favorite charities and give back, pay it forward? It certainly feels great as women to do that.
Yeah, what you just said is so powerful. And I love writing your money vows.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that tonight. That's kind of fun. And then it's like not just having the vows, speaking those vows, and then committing to the vows.
Right, committing to them, and then when a slip up occurs, you say, all right, slip up occurred. This is what happens. Outside influences, whatever. That was an old pattern. It was decades or weeks or days long. I know I have to do it 28 days in a row in order for it to really take effect. All right, back at it. And then it'll be a longer time before the next slip up and a longer time. And pretty soon we won't even recognize the slip ups. We'll just say, yeah, that was a distraction. Okay, move on. Exactly. It is that easy, women. It is that easy. And if we take control of what's north of our shoulders, we will increase our self-worth and our net worth. It's that simple.
I'd like you to talk about one other piece of the pie. So we're shifting and changing our paradigm. We're making that commitment, writing our vows, aligning with that person that we can be accountable to, whether it's a friend, a financial advisor would be also nice to add to that equation. But let's talk about those that are in your inner circle, because we know sometimes we're around the naysayers. So we may feel like, yeah, I just heard Debra Morrison and yes, I'm going to change my money story. I'm on the success path. And I come back home and someone says, come on, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get out of debt.
Yeah, that is such a great point. And we all have heard those little axioms about, like, look at the 5 closest friends you have, and your life is going to mirror the average of the people that you hang with, right? And I understand that we have a lot of friendships that are very seasoned, and we value these people for various reasons. but this may feel like a non sequitur to some, but like when I was talking with families and said, all right, you want to have a medical power of attorney. And the parents would say, well, that's this child, right? That's Betsy. Betsy be great for medical power of attorney. And instead of Betsy being the financial power of attorney, no, Betsy's cut out to be the power of attorney for medical. You know, Jane may be the best financial power of attorney. You see how the skill sets need to match the job? And so you might have a friend that you lean back on, and they're typically not going to embrace your entrepreneurial spirit or your desire to change your step in this dance called life and progress towards our future. And so if you need a person to listen to you or to go to the movies with, that's the person. But I want us to finger a new friend or friends for whom we will gain the exact kind of partnering and the coaching that we aspire towards. So look around, women. Who is out there doing what you want to do? Because the NFL or any sports team, National Baseball League, Major League Baseball, they do not hire losing coaches. It doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, they hire winning coaches, and sometimes the winning coaches start to lose. And then what? They get fired, right? You want to seek out who it is that you would like to emulate and either grab them or grab their books and what they're blogging about and start to fill your mind with that. And if you end up at a lunch or dinner with a naysayer friend and they say, oh, you know, you've said that so many times, Debra, you know, how are we going to believe you now? And you just say to yourself, I think this time is different. And I think you say it like that. I think this time is different. This feels like my time. First of all, you don't know if you're just unleashing some permission for them to maybe think about them taking a little different step, right? But it defines you. You are marking your lot in the sand. You're saying, but I think this time it's different. In other words, like, watch me grow. Just wait, right? And so that's the kind of energy I want us to put out. I want us not to kind of do this in secret because we want to share this kind of thing. We maybe have our behavior changes may influence that of our friends. It may not. I'm not going to bank on that. Yet I want us to have our intentions out there with our circle of friends. And if the circle of friends continues to be naysayers, then we need to winnow the time that we spend with them down, and we need to increase the time we spend with winning strategies all the more. So I want us to say it, declare it. It's different this time. Either the pandemic shook me up so much, it took away so much, I have to change a lot. And maybe that was the wake-up call that some of us needed. And now we have the opportunity. Remind yourself, crisis and opportunity are often viewed in the same lens. We just have to shift a little bit. Oh, okay, crisis, it looks, give it 90 seconds. 90 seconds if you need to count off 90. And I've done this. And then we will adopt something new. And if we don't have the imagination to figure that out, we're going to invite in a coach to help us figure that out. And step by step, we can do this, women. And then the synergy of women doing it together and women gathering in groups that are doing it together. And the oxytocin that's released is basically going to compound that kind of energy and that resolve, LaWanna, that commitment, so that when we're feeling exhausted, we think, well, wait a minute, you know, I'm going to go in the group next Tuesday and I'm going to be tied up and meeting with so-and-so and so-and-so. And I want to be bringing something positive to that mix. That's right. Well, I welcome anyone to come to my website, Women Navigating Finances, that's plural.com, womennavigatingfinances.com. And if you put a /10 mistakes, the number 10 mistakes, you can get and download a little synopsis I put together. And it's not something that you'll Google. It's really Debra's 42 years. These are what I think are the 10 biggest mistakes women over 50 make and how to avoid them. And I did a video with each one, and then there's a written piece, so it appeals to the audio, the visual, and the kinesthetic people all in the same package. So grab that. It's a free resource. And then if you're wanting to know the tips and tools to become intentionally wealthy, I'm going to have a event next Tuesday. It's coming right up, October 26th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. And go to womennavigatingfinances.com/IWW, intentionally wealthy women, and take a peek at that. But I invite you to become involved. Email us with questions. My Facebook group, Women Navigating Finances, free. Join it. People peppering questions all the time. We're supporting each other. We need each other. And I invite you to come into the fold. And I'd love for you to come into my fold, come into LaWanna's fold. We're here to serve. We've served many, many women, perhaps just like you. And we are delighted to serve you in your steps towards further empowerment. And as we all say, your net worth and your self-worth are really very, very intertwined. And why not raise both of them?
Ladies, I know you see us promoting our boot camp. That's fine. There's never any excuse not to get in front of excellence if the opportunity presents itself. So Debra here is one of the most amazing women that I've met on the financial stage, and I am encouraging you, please join her community, be a part of Women Navigating Finances, be a part of this event that she's having, and also join the boot camp where you'll learn a little bit more about what she's doing and what she has to offer to us. And Debra, I just want to thank you so very much for joining me this evening. All right. Well, thank you again, Debra. I look forward to speaking to you in the upcoming days. And again, ladies, please connect with Debra Morrison and her community. They will not steer you wrong. You're going to level up your financial game. And if you feel that, I know all this stuff, I'm good. Trust me, the financial industry, just like every industry, is changing. There's new things happening every single day. So you want to tap in and tune in to someone who has their finger on the pulse of what's happening. So again, I encourage you to collaborate with Debra Morrison and her community, Women Navigating Finances. And again, Debra, thank you so much for joining me. And ladies, just remember that when your vision for your financial future, for your financial security align with opportunity, success is inevitable. Until next week. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, LaWanna.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.